Everyone, in this video I will discuss about the action in the dynamic CRM. In the demo I'll show you how to configure the action, how to create the plugin on the action, and how to call the action using the workflow. And in the demo I will also show you how to use the input and output parameters of the action. But before I go to the configuration or the development of the action, let me quickly tell you about some points related to the action. The concept of the action was introduced in the CRM 2013 onwards. Before the CRM 2013, like CRM 2011, only the two processes were present, workflow and the dialogue. And in the CRM 2013, Microsoft added the business process flow and the action. So this is when the action came into the picture in the dynamics. So when you configure the action, it will create the custom message for the plugin for the specific entity. And on that message, you can create the plugin. When you call the action by different way like plugin, JavaScript, workflow, or even API, then your action will be called. And on the action, if you have registered the plugin, then logic of the plugin will be executed. In the action, you have the leverage to set the input and output parameters, and you can scale the action on a specific entity, single entity, or you can make the action as a global. Sometimes you will create the custom action. So custom actions, how we do for the custom workflow, like that we'll create the custom step for the action. So those are called the custom actions. When you create the custom actions, so it will run under the transaction of the database, and if you have any error in the action execution, that if you want to be rolled back, then you can roll back that. So we have the checkbox that to be enabled to roll back. By default, it will be enabled. Also, when action is running, then the context which we will get, it will be under the context of the calling user, and the scope of the execute of the action is always the organization level. Means it will be interacting with all the records, whether record is created by the any users, like created by any the login user or any dynamics user. It will be interacting with the all the records of the organization. So scope of the action is organization level. So these are the quick points related to the action. Now let's move to the configuration of the action. But before I go to the configuration, let me tell you my scenario which I'm going to achieve here. So I have the entity called student. So when I will create the new record of this student, so I have tab called fees detail, and I have course fee, university fee, and the total fee. The course fees I will be getting from the what course I will select here. Like I'm selecting the computer science engineering. For that course I have configured some price. That price I want to populate over here. Then university fee I will be populating myself some value, and then we'll add these two and then we'll populate into the total fee. So this is a simple scenario, and we can achieve this using the JavaScript also, but the demo I wanted to show you with the action, so that is why I have taken this simple scenario, and I will show you how to use that. To achieve this scenario, we have to go to our solution. So I have this is my solution. I have opened it. I will create the action and the workflow here. So first of all, let's create the action. So the name of the action I'll give as set fees, and this will be the category as action, and entity I will select as a student. So when you are giving the entity a student, when you call this action, always you have to provide the related entities here. That is entity reference you have to give here whenever you are going to call this action. So if you will not give any specific entity, then if it is your action is global, you can see at the top we have the features to set as global, right? That time you no need to pass any related information. So here in this case, since I know my entity where I have to register this action, so I can specify my entity here, and the entity is student. So let me configure this. Okay, so my action is configured. Now I need one more process that will be called on the create of this record or create of this student entity, right? So I will be creating another process, and that will be workflow, and I will name it as a create student, and the category will be the workflow, and the entity will be the student entity. Okay, and the workflow I want as a synchronous workflow. I don't want asynchronous. When you enable this checkbox, means your workflow is asynchronous. Since if I'll get any error in my execution of this action, and I want to know the in the user interface those errors, then you can make this workflow as a synchronous workflow. So that is why I'll take this workflow as a synchronous workflow. I will uncheck this one and then click OK to create this. So my workflow is also created. So inside this workflow, I have to use the perform actions. You can see I have perform actions. When you select this step, then you have to select your action which you want to call here. So you can see this is my action which I have created, set fish. It is coming over here. Okay, so I'll select that one. But before I go to the other configuration here in the step, let me quickly tell you some points here. And I have to set here a scope as an organization label because I want to interact all the records of the my organization. So I'll set the scope of this as an organization label. And we have this some feature called start when. And just quickly I'll tell you about it. When you're creating the record, then you cannot run this workflow before, means it should be record should be present in the database, then only you can run. So that is by default it will be selected as after. And likewise we have for delete. So when you deleting the when you're calling this workflow on the delete, then you cannot run after the delete has been performed by the core operation, because at that time the record will be deleted from the database. So that is why for the if you select the delete as a trigger point, then it will be selected by default as a before. But for the other trigger events like field change, assign, or status change, for these you record will be already present in the database. So you have the privilege to select before and after. And this is similar to like we have plugin pipeline in the plugins pipeline stages. So there we have the pre-event and post-event. Likewise we have here. But it's not exactly same, because in the plugin we have the pre-validation and pre-operation and the post-operation, but here we don't have pre-validation, that one. So it is similar to that concept for the workflow. So this was the point, and you can see the execute as I want the user who made the changes to the record. So I'll select this one. If you select this as the owner of this workflow, then whenever this workflow will be called, then who is the owner of this workflow? It means this is the owner. Then the execution will happen under the security privilege of this user. But when you select this user as who made the changes, then who has logged into your Dynamics organization and who is trying to call this workflow, it will run under the security privilege of that user. So these are the quick points. So in my case, I don't want the other events. I just need the record is created, only one trigger point. Okay, and the scope as organization, and here I have to call my action. But before I call, let me set up my action input and output parameter. So here this is my action created. So what we will do here is, from when we will create this, I will be passing this input parameter, because I have to know like which course the student has been selected, and then what is the university fee we have entered. Then what I will do, I will query through the student course here to get this course fee. So I have to retrieve one retrieve query into my plugin, and then I will get this fee. And then finally, when record is created, then I will populate the fee, total fee, after summing the course fee and university fee. I'll add it, and then I'll populate into the total fee. So that is why I need the two input parameter here. So I'll go here and I'll take the input parameter. I'll name it as a course name, and that will be the type as an entity reference, and the type of the entity is called this course. So here it is course. This is the entity for me. So one input parameter is the entity reference, and that is of entity type course, and direction is input. And another is the university fee, and that will be type of the money. And this okay, so that direction for this will be input parameter. Okay, and I need the two output parameters. What we'll do here, once in the plugin will calculate the fee from this course, then I need to set the fee back to this field, right? Course fee and the total fee, isn't it? So for that I need the two output parameter from this action. So I will add that too. So here I want first field name as the course fee. Okay, and this will be type as money, and the direction will be the output. Okay, another is the total fee, and the same type as money, and the direction is output. So we have configured our input and output parameters. And another steps I don't want to add here, because on this action I will be registering my plugin, so I don't need to add here. If you are calling the, if you have some steps, if you want to add, you can add here. So how we do for the workflow, you can add these steps over here. Okay, so let me save this. Okay, but before I go to the write the plugin, let me tell you what is this checkbox is. When you enable this checkbox, then if you want this action to be called into the business process flow, if you want to this action to be consumed into the business process flow, then you can enable this, and then in the business process flow step, then you can call this action there. That is why this checkbox is, you can, if you want, you can enable this. And by default, the enable rollback is checked. So if you means if your action is getting any error in the transaction error, then if you want to roll back from there, then it will be enabled, so it will be rolled back then. Okay, so it is done. I have saved this. Okay, and then I will be registering the plugin on that, but before that, let me complete my configuration of this one workflow. So here I have to set the properties. So when you set the property, you will see you will have total 5 parameters we have to set. So we'll see that it is loading. Let me save and close this action. Okay, let me set the properties one more time. Okay, so yeah, it will take 3 parameters, because for the output parameters we will be setting inside the logic, right? For this for the in the action we have the output parameters, 2 output parameters, right? Like the total fee and course fee, that we will be setting into the plugin. And here for the input direction and the we have to set the value here for an input direction, and what entity we have selected, that is called the target entity, and that we have to set here. So total 3 parameters we have to set. So for the target, you can see since we have selected the entity as a student, so we have to give the student here, and we'll select this, and I want this as a dynamic, so you have to select this as a dynamic here, and then click this and set the dynamic value. And for the course name, since we have a lookup field for the course applied for, you can see here, this is the field name course applied for. So this field I want to pass as an input parameter to the action. So I will select this course name here, and then that is also dynamic. And the university fee, which I will passing from this fee details tab, here I will set the course fee. So that fee also I want in my plugin. So here I'll select this, and I have the course university fee, and then add, and then set the university fee. So my input parameter has been set. Let's save and close. And here below we will add one more step here to close this workflow. So stop workflow with the status succeed. So our workflow has been configured now. But before that, I have to add one more step here, because when the plugin is executed and it will set the output parameters to the action, then we have to use that output parameters to this, right, to this workflow. So what we'll do after this, I will add another step called the update record. Okay, and here in the update record here, I will be updating the student record, and I will set the property, because once the action has completed its job, then in its output parameter will have the course amount and the total amount. So I will be setting these two value from the action, right? So here we'll go to the action, and sorry, we'll go to the step configuration of the workflow, and here we will select the entity, not the entity. We will select our action. We can see in the below whatever the action you have configured here, you will be getting here. You will once you will select this, you will have all the output parameters available for that. So when you select this, go to the fee here, course fee, select this, and you can see you will have the two output parameters which we have set here, right? So it is coming here. So I can set this as a dynamic here. So for the course fee, I will select the course fee as output parameter, add it, okay. And for the total fee, I will set the total fee as output parameter, okay. So it is done. So now we have configured the update step also. So save and close. So finally, in the workflow configuration steps, we have first we'll call the action. Action will trigger the plugin, and the plugin will calculate the fee amount, and then finally it will set the course fee and the total fee. And in the second step, we are updating the student here, and we are setting the field course fee and the total fee here from this action, and then finally we are closing successfully the workflow if it is executed successfully. So my workflow has been configuration has been completed. So let me save this and close. So let me save and close. Okay, so here it is done. So what I will do now is I will be creating the plugin on that. So so for this, I'll go to my Visual Studio here. This is my Visual Studio, and the solution which we have developed in the last video. We have the plugin folder where all my plugin resides. I have created the custom workflow folder where my custom workflow is there. So here, since we are going to create the plugin, so I will be adding one class file here to call the plugin. So let me add the class file here. So here I'll name it as a student set fees, okay, and add it. And we will write the logic as usually we do in the plugin. So using Microsoft.xlm.sdk, and we have to implement the iPlugin interface, and here we'll implement that. And the class we have to make it as a public, okay, and here remove this one. So let's add try catch block here, and inside the exception we'll throw with the name ex, and finally we'll write here throw new invalid plugin execution exception, and here we'll show the message as ex.message, okay. And inside the try block we will be writing our logic. So first of all, we have to get the context when the plugin is called, right? So iPlugin execution context, variable name context, that is equals to the iPlugin execution context, and we will be getting from the service provider dot get service, and that is type of iPlugin execution context. We will check the plugin which we have, which is called, whether it is registered for the whether it is for the entity or not, because the action is registered for the entity, right, for the student. So that will be coming to the plugin as an entity reference. So we have to check that one. So if the context dot input parameters dot contains the target, and target is context dot input parameters of target is the entity reference. So entity reference, so means our context is properly assigned here, and in this context, when we have context correctly coming, then we will create our service and other stuff, and then we will manipulating our logic here. So let me create the service first. So organization service factory will create first, and then a variable name as service factory, that is equals to, and from this service provider we'll get that type of the organization service factory, and from the service factory we'll get the organization service. So name it as service, that equals to the service factory dot create organization service, and that is under the context of the, I can say user ID. If you want, you can take it as initiating user ID also. Okay, so now I have created my service. So first of all, what I will be doing is I will take the whatever the action which I have created here, this action, student entity I want as a target reference here. So let me take that. So it is entity reference, entity reference. Let me take the variable first. So I need the entity reference as a student reference. Name it as entity reference. That is equals to null initial value, and same like we'll do for, since in the context for the input parameters we have passed the this field, right, the course applied for and the fee details. These two are the input parameters for me. So when the plugin is called, then these two fields will be present inside the context. So I will be extracting that. So since this is a kind of the lookup field, so this is entity reference, so I will be taking one variable for that also. So here I'll take the course entity reference here, course entity reference, that is equals to null. Okay, and I need another entity type variable, that is because I have to give the service.retrieve query to retrieve the fee amount what we'll select here for the student, right? That fee I have to select. So for this course, what is the fee here configured, that fee I need to retrieve from this. So that is why I'll take the another service entity as a variable. So entity, call the course entity, that is equals to the null. Okay, fine. And I need some couple of variable other couple of variables. Those are money type, because the first of all, the input parameter which we have passed as a university fee, that is nothing but money type, currency type. So that currency variable I will be taking here, right? And also the total fee and course fee, so that I can manipulate my data. So I need those variables here. So it is money, and that is the course fee, that is equals to the null now. And then I need the university fee, CT fee, that is equals to null. And then the total fee, that is equals to null. So I took my all variables. So first of all, I will be taking the course entity here, course entity reference here, because which is the input parameter to the action, and it is present inside the input parameter of the context, how we did for the here, like this context or input parameter. So it will be present in here as a with the input parameter name what we have given here. So let me take that. So first of all, we'll check the condition. If the context dot input parameters dot contains that input parameter which we have passed into the action. So let me select the action here. Let me save and close this. I'll open the action here. From this action, I will take the input parameter name here, right? So we are taking the course name. So this is the input parameter name. So it will be present inside the context of this plugin. So from this, we'll check if it has the input parameter, then give me the entity reference of that. So course entity reference, that is equals to the context dot input parameters, and that is of type course as a entity reference. Okay, so I got this one. Now I need to take the another parameter also, that is the university fee. I need to extract, right, from the context. So if the context dot input parameters of dot contains the university fee, so here we'll select the name of that university fee, copy this and university fee, then we'll take that also. So we have already taken the variable university fee here, university fee already we have taken, so that is equals to the context dot input parameters of university fee as money type. Okay, so we got this one. So first of all, I need to retrieve I have to take the simple retrieve query to get the course fee configured into the student course entity, right? So I will be taking as a I'll take the variable. We have the course entity we have taken already. We have taken the variable. So course fee here equals to the service dot retrieve, and that is the schema name I need to pass. So that is course entity reference, that dot logical name, and then course entity reference dot ID. So because when we got the value from this course applied for, so it will have the schema name and the ID which we have selected here. So we'll get that one. So that is why I have those two parameters here, and the column I need is nothing but the course fee from this course fee. That is the schema name of the course fee which we have configured. So I need that column only. So new column set, and that is dnlb underscore the course fee. Okay, so we got this one. So now let's check if the course fee course entity is not equals to null, and the course entity contains this field which we are going to retrieve here. So if contains, then we'll retrieve the value from that. So we'll set into the course fee here, which we have taken the variable here, course fee, right? So we'll set to that. So it is course fee equals to the course entity dot, and then that is the schema name of the field, and we have to cast it as a money type. Okay, so we got all the value, all the fees. Now we have to set our total fee here, right? So to do this, we have to total fee equals to we have a new money type, and that is equals to the we have the course fee dot value plus the university fee dot value. Okay, we say the total fee, but here let's check if we don't have the course fee here. Means by some error we are not getting the course fee here, right? Due to some error. So what we'll do, so in this case we'll make the default value as 0. So course fee equals to the new money type of 0, means we'll make the default value 0. Same thing we'll do for the university fee also. So let's check else the university fee equals to the new money 0. So now we got our input output total fee and the course fee. So these details we have to set into the output parameters, right? So these are our output parameters. So into this we will set that. To set this we have to use the context, because it will be present inside the context only. So output parameters. So here we'll go here below this and set the output parameters. So here context dot we have the output parameters, and you can give the same name, whatever the name we have given into the action, that is equals to the course fee which we have configured, and context dot output parameters, and we have another output parameter over here in the action, so that is total fee. Copy this and then we'll set that name equals to the total fee. Since the types are same, because money inside the coding, and then in the dynamics we have the currency as a type, so it will match here. So directly it will set the value there. So no need to cast and do any casting over here. So directly we can set this money type over here. Since these fields are already in the money currency type, so like you can see these fields are already currency type, so it will directly set the value to that. So my plugin is completed now. Let me reveal this. Okay, so build succeed. Now we have to register this plugin to the Dynamics using the plugin registration tool. So already I have login to the plugin registration tool, connected to my instance, and I will be updating this plugin solution which we have developed in the previous video. So let me update this one, and this is my assembly. Select, and you can see that in the plugin I will have that another plugin added here. Student set fees, right? It is added over here. So let me select all the plugins available here and update this assembly back. Okay, so one assembly is registered and one assembly updated and one plugin is registered, right, which we developed just now. So here our plugin set fees, it is here, but for this we didn't register the step. So let me register this step. So we will go here, and you can see as soon as you will give the DNLB, you can see your action name here. This is the action name which we have configured over here, right? The schema name of that. So that is coming over here as a message to the plugin, right? This is the message. It is coming over here, and we will not set any primary or, so it will be none and none. and the execution. So we have to take the post operation, and why we have to take is I'll tell you. So like when you are using the output parameters in the action and you are registering the plugin on the action, so to use this output parameter you should always use the plugin on the post operation, because the when the core operation will doing the logic in the post, in the output parameters will have those values. If you are registering your plugin as a pre operation, like pre validation, then in the context you will not have the output parameter details. It will be by default null, so it will be null, it will reset to null. So the context, it will have the lifespan till the core operation perform that one, right? So after the core operation it will reset to null, so in the output parameters you will not have anything. But when you register your step on the post operation, the core operation has performed the task, the logic is executed, and your plugin is in the post operation, and your action is called, and when your action is called and your plugin is executed, and you will have the output parameter set over here. That is why we have to put the plugin in the post operation whenever you are using the output parameter inside the plugin. If you are not using the output parameter, if you are using just simply input parameter and you want to use that one, then you can register the plugin on the pre-validation. That will work fine. Okay, so I will take this operation as a post operation, okay, and the plugin as a synchronous plugin. So let me register this step. So let me close this. I have to refresh this assembly again. So I'll select this and refresh this. Okay, the assembly is refreshed. Now I'll select my assembly here. Inside that I have this step. I will register this. I have the plugin. I will register the step for that, and it is dnlb, the action name, and then primary entity none and secondary entity none, and then the operation as a post operation and the synchronous plugin, and the run in the context of calling user I want. Okay, then register this step. So my step is registered on the post operation. So before that we have to activate our action and the workflow, right? So that it will be called. So we will select our these two, workflow and the action, and we will activate it. Okay, so everything is ready now. So when we create the record of this student, then our logic should work. So let me create the new record of the student. Test action here, and then course details. I will select the cycle as P, and the course I will select as say computer science, and the fee details for the university, say I want to pass as a $500 for the university fee. Okay, and now I will create the record of this student. So it is created. Now if you see the fees details, you can see the 45,000 is added, which is nothing but the course fee from this course we have selected, and this total fee is added after adding these two. So this is what logic we have written. So this is how you can configure the workflow. So we can configure the workflow and the action, and you can call the action in the workflow, and you can use these input and output parameters. Let me verify you that if you register the plugin on the pre-operation, then what will happen? This step I will register to the pre-operation, and when your plugin is on the pre-operation, then your logic means whatever you have written into the output parameters, whatever you have set over here, this two, it will not be used, it will be null. So when the record is created, then these two fields should be null ideally, right? Because this is what we have configured into this workflow, right? So it will be null. So let me create that. So now I have put this step as a pre-operation here. You can see the step is pre-operation, and I will create the new record of the student. So we'll select this and test action 1. Okay, and let me set the mandatory field. and I'll select the course type P cycle, and here I'll select these electrical electronics engineering, and then fee amount, say I want as $1,000 university fee. Let me save this. So you can see when it is saved, then these values are not populated. Means even though you set the output parameter and you are using into the in the workflow to update this value, but in the context, those values will be not present because the event will be closed before the core operation has performed. So it will be the output parameter will be present till the core operation, and when your plugin was on the post operation, then those values were present into the context, and then it got set up. So, however, if you want to set these two value into the into this field, then you can register the another plugin on the post operation, and you can use this shared variable. You can put these two value into the shared variable and on the post operation plugin, and you can use that one to update this entity back, right? So you can do that way also. So this was the plugin and the introduction to the action. I hope you will learn from this video, and if you have any suggestions, any comment, you let me know. And thank you for watching this video, guys.